Have you ever just, had that feeling, that sense that some things you do just work out well and others, well, they clearly lead to problems, to suffering?
Oh, absolutely. It's that gut feeling about cause and effect.
Right. And today we're diving into some ancient wisdom that really maps this out. It's not just about right and wrong. It gives this amazing framework for understanding how our actions, our words, even our thoughts ripple outwards.
Exactly. It's remarkably systematic. The source material we're looking at comes from these old discourses, ancient texts, really, that are brilliant at laying out ethical ideas using these clear pairs, this versus that.
So our mission today is to unpack these guidelines, these sort of practical instructions for living, and show how comprehensive this system is, and honestly, how relevant it still feels.
Yeah, it's striking.
Okay, so let's get into it. What really jumps out is this list, right? A set of 10 core actions that the texts keep coming back to. They seem like the absolute foundation.
That's right. They're often called the 10 courses of action, sometimes the 10 paths of karma. And they're broken down pretty neatly. Body, speech, and mind.
Okay.
So, starting with the body, there are 3. First up is killing.
Right.
And the texts don't just say don't kill, they contrast abstaining from it with being cruel, bloodthirsty, engaged in striking and wounding, and importantly, devoid of compassion for all living beings.
So it's the cruelty, the lack of compassion, that's key.
Precisely. And the flip side is cultivating that compassion. Then you have stealing. Again, it's not just the act, it's taking what is not given, belonging to another, consider it as stolen. The intention is crucial.
The intent to take what's not yours.
Yeah. And the third one for the body is sexual misconduct. This is described as misconduct with those protected by family or clan, or even Dhamma protected.
Dhamma protected. What does that mean exactly?
That refers to people who are safeguarded by moral principles, maybe spiritual vows, beyond just, legal or family ties. It's fundamentally about respecting boundaries and commitments.
Okay, so physical actions defined by intent and context. Makes sense. But what about words? They can feel so fleeting, but this framework gives them weight too.
Oh, definitely. 4 of the 10 relate to speech, and they really explore the impact. You've got false speech, basically lying, knowingly speaking a deliberate lie, whether for yourself, someone else, or even something trivial. It's conscious deception.
Conscious.
That's slanderous speech. This is actively trying to cause division, the hearing here and repeating there, to break people apart. The positive action is the opposite, trying to unite people.
Actively uniting.
Then there's harsh speech, words that are rough, hurtful, abusive, bordering on anger. It's about the negative emotional impact.
Right, not just what you say, but how it lands.
Exactly. And finally, frivolous talk. This isn't just like casual chat. It's described as speaking out of season, untrue, unbeneficial, without purpose, speech that's pointless or harmful from an ethical standpoint.
Wow, okay. That's incredibly thorough. It goes beyond actions and words right into our thoughts.
Absolutely. The last 3 are all about the mind. First, covetousness. That's wanting what someone else has, thinking, oh, if only that were mine, that mental grasping. Second, ill will. A mind filled with malice, thinking, may these beings be destroyed. Or worse. The opposite is actively cultivating goodwill, metta.
And the last one, you said it might be the most foundational.
Yes, wrong view. This is fundamental. Holding reversed views, believing there's no giving, no offering, no fruit or result of good and bad actions. Basically denying that ethics and consequences are real. Denying karma, essentially.
The complete misunderstanding of how things work according to this system.
Exactly. And its opposite right view is understanding that moral order.
What's really fascinating, as you said, is how these 10 things aren't just a list. They seem to be used again and again in the text to define, well, almost everything else, like a code.
That is precisely it. Think of them as the single lens for defining a whole range of concepts. It's like a moral physics. For example, these 10 actions define what is fundamentally good, sadhu, versus bad, asatu.
Okay, the most basic level.
And they distinguish what's considered noble, aryodhamma, from ignoble, anaryodhamma.
And it touches on the quality of the actions themselves, right? Like whether they're wholesome.
Exactly. Wholesome, kusala, versus unwholesome, akusala. They also map out what leads to benefit, adatha, versus harm, anatha.
So practical outcomes, too.
Very practical.
Yeah.
And it goes deeper into our inner state. They differentiate states with defilements, sasavadhamma, from without defilements, anasavadhamma. This is huge for spiritual development.
Right, clearing the mental obstacles.
And they define what's blamable, savaja, versus Blameless anaraja, not just socially, but inherently.
It even affects how we feel things. You mentioned something about burning.
Yes. Whether something is burning or afflicting tapaniya versus not burning afflicting of tapaniya, it connects directly to our felt experience.
Wow.
And beyond that, whether actions are leading to accumulation, akagami, versus leading to reduction, apakagami, meaning do they pile up more mental junk or help clear it out?
Accumulating negativity or reducing it. Makes sense.
And maybe most importantly, they define what is leading to suffering, dukkhadraya, versus leading to happiness, sukhadraya, and what ultimately results in suffering, dukkhavipaka, versus resulting in happiness.
Sukhapaka, it's just incredibly systematic. So these 10 actions literally define the quality of our reality, from inner feelings to ultimate outcomes. So what about the consequences? How direct is this link?
The texts are crystal clear on this. It boils down to the Kammasaka principle. It basically says beings own their actions, they inherit their actions, they're born from them, bound by them. Actions are their refuge. Whatever you do, good or bad, you will inherit its result.
It's your true inheritance.
Absolutely. And the outcomes are described quite vividly. Unwholesome actions lead to what's called crooked movement, body, speech, mind, which results in difficult rebirths. Think hell realms or the animal realm, like becoming scorpions, mice, owls, those sorts of things.
Quite specific.
Conversely, wholesome actions lead to straight movement. This leads to better realms, like heavens, or being reborn into high human families. Nobles, priests, wealthy householders, people described as having resources and comfort.
So it's almost like a biological consequence of your ethics shaping your future form and circumstances. And these actions, they don't just fade away.
Not according to these texts. They state very clearly, conscious actions don't vanish without their result being experienced, maybe in this life, maybe later.
Yeah.
And suffering doesn't end until you've experienced the results of past actions.
That really emphasizes the weight of every choice. But you mentioned something earlier, a twist from the Karajakaya Sutta, about how developing certain positive mind states can change things.
Yes, that's a fascinating point. It suggests a kind of reorientation, maybe, rather than wiping the slate clean. The text talks about developing the 4 immeasurables: boundless loving kindness, metta, compassion, karus, appreciative joy, mudita, and equanimity.
Okay, those big positive states.
Right. Goodwill, wishing others free from suffering, joy in their happiness, and this balanced calm. By cultivating these intensely, the text says, any past unwholesome actions will be experienced here and not follow one into future existences.
Experienced here, so it doesn't erase the karma, but maybe changes how or when you experience the result, so it doesn't carry over.
That seems to be the idea. It's like you're creating such a powerful positive field now that the remaining effects of past negative actions ripen and get exhausted in this life. You deal with them now, intensely perhaps, but they don't burden your future. It's a kind of purification through active mental cultivation.
That's a really powerful concept, not escape, but transformation of the experience. Shifting focus a bit, how does this apply beyond just personal karma? Does it shape who we are perceived to be, our relationships?
Oh, definitely. It shapes our character and social standing, ethically speaking. The texts, like the Pugalavago, are quite explicit. Someone embodying those 10 unwholesome actions. They are described as not to be associated with, not to be served, not worthy of reverence.
So a clear social consequence based on ethical conduct.
Yes. And conversely, those practicing the wholesome opposites are considered worthy of respect, association, praise. It draws a line based on ethical character.
And this isn't just about what I do, right? There's a ripple effect.
A huge one. The Samanyavago section spells this out. It talks about multiplication. Doing an unwholesome action yourself is one level of negative karma, right, across the 10 items.
Okay.
But if you encourage someone else to do it, that multiplies the negative impact. If you approve of them doing it, multiplies again. And if you actually praise the unwholesome act, even more significant karmic weight.
Wow. So our influence, even just our approval or praise, really matters karmically. And this works for positive actions too.
Exactly the same principle. Doing good, encouraging good, approving of good, praising good, each step amplifies the positive karmic result. It shows how deeply interconnected our ethical lives are.
That's quite something to consider. Our subtle influences matter just as much as our big actions.
Now, there's another interesting layer here. We've talked about the 10 actions, the deeds. But another part of the source introduces a second set of 10 qualities. These seem to describe more about a person's overall path or way of being.
Okay, so not specific actions, but more like character traits or the direction someone's heading in life.
You could put it that way.
Yeah.
It's the famous 10-fold path, but presented here as pairs, right versus wrong.
Hmm.
So right-wrong view, right-wrong intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, concentration, knowledge, and even right-wrong deliverance or liberation,
The whole path.
the whole path. And the text used this to define the individual, someone embodying the wrong path. They're described as disrespectful, undutiful, they don't accomplish, don't become purified, don't overcome conceit, don't grow in wisdom, and they generate much demerit.
Pretty stark picture.
In direct contrast, someone on the right path is respectful, dutiful, they do accomplish, they become purified, they overcome conceit, they grow in wisdom, and generate much merit. It's a description of their entire spiritual trajectory and character.
So it's a different lens. The first 10 are about specific what you do, say, think. This second set is about the overall, the quality and direction of your entire being and practice.
Exactly. It adds another dimension to understanding wholesome and unwholesome states.
And all this deep ethical stuff, it even connects to something as, well, seemingly everyday as giving offerings. How does that work?
It does, and the Jusam Sutta gives a fascinating example. A Brahmin, Jusam Sun, asks if offerings made for dead relatives actually reach them, if they're effective.
A very practical question people still ask today.
Right, and the answer is nuanced. It says there are 4 unsuitable destinations: hell, the animal realm, the human realm, the heavenly realms, where the offering might not directly benefit that specific person because they aren't in a state to receive it in that way.
Okay, so it depends on where they've been reborn.
But it identifies one suitable destination, the realm of ancestors, sometimes called hungry ghosts, where the offerings do directly help the intended recipient.
Ah, so there is a chance it connects directly.
Yes. But here's the crucial part, reinforcing the core principle. Even if the relative isn't in that specific realm, the text says the giver is never without fruit. The act of giving, the wholesome intention and action, always benefits the giver karmically.
That's huge. The merit is in the act itself, regardless of the outcome for the recipient.
Precisely. Your generosity always bears fruit for you. And then there's this other really interesting detail.
Oh.
It mentions that someone who, say, did unwholesome things overall, but also practiced generosity, they might be reborn as an animal, like an elephant or a horse or even a dog.
Okay, a lower rebirth due to the other actions.
Because of their past generosity, even in that animal life, they might still experience comforts, good food, shelter, care, adornments. It shows this incredibly complex interplay. Specific good actions can yield specific good results, even within a generally difficult existence caused by other actions.
It's not just the simple tally then. Different actions have different results that can coexist. That's really intricate.
It is. It shows a very sophisticated understanding of how these forces work.
So, looking back at our deep dive today, it's clear these ancient sources paint a picture where our actions, words, and thoughts have just immense significance. They shape everything.
They really do. It's a framework where ethics isn't just a social convention, it's woven into the fabric of reality. Cause and effect are paramount. Our conduct lays the groundwork for our entire experience.
It definitely encourages you, the listener, to pause and think about these patterns. How could understanding these distinctions, wholesome, unwholesome, right, wrong view, the impact of praise or blame, how could that shift your own daily choices, your interactions?
That's profound, isn't it?
It really is. These teachings are essentially saying every conscious choice, however small it seems, is planting a seed. So, here's a thought to leave you with. What if we truly lived each moment knowing that our very being, our future, even the people we connect with are flowing directly from the ethical quality of our actions right now?